We have to differ. If it is about joint debt, and here I really have to go into a little bit of classic. I'm a lawyer by profession. If it is a joint debt, joint by several, it is a problem who is at the end paying, and that is the big problem within Europe. If we have joint debt where at the end Germany is going to pay, it's not going to work. If it is that we have to spend more on defense, it's definitely right. I mean, we're coming from 1.5% GDP for defense going up to 2%, even with the last more left-wing coalition where we were really going up. We had an extra budget of 100 billion for 5 years that gave 20 billion every year. Considering these points, defense spending is going up in Germany and is going up in Europe. But then on the other side, if you look on who is spending how much on Ukraine, you can see a lot of differences. So I'm not quite sure whether this classic European answer, we just do joint debt, joint production, joint climate fight, everything, then that's not going to work. It's always the question whether we do believe it's the single one that matters, the single member that matters, or it's just, the whole bureaucracy that is going to solve problems. And let's be honest and let's face it, the last 20 years have shown that too much bureaucracy doesn't lead to solving problems, but only to making the bureaucracy bigger. And that is not what we have to do considering defense.
Well, I suppose that puts even more pressure on the German government as a single government. We are now less than a week away from the election, and the expectation, the majority believe we will get a two-party coalition, but the probability of a three-party coalition has been rising in recent weeks. How do you see coalitions working in the future for Germany?
Well, there's one problem that we do have. Normally you had like two-party coalitions where either you had the Greens or my party, the Free Democrats, being the smaller coalition partner of either the Social Democrats or the Conservatives, the Christian Democratic Union. Yet that is not working anymore because the Social Democrats are down to around about 15%. And let's face it, even the leading conservative Christian Democrats are only at 30%. And then you need to have either a 20% coalition partner or you have to have two coalition partners. We have to get adjusted to that. The last coalition, the so-called stoplight or traffic light coalition, didn't work at the end because when money was running out, you couldn't agree on where to spend less. As politicians always have the problem, they agree on where to spend more, but can't agree on where to spend less. And I see the problem right now that, and keep that in mind, here comes the classic German guy. Considering our history, different to other countries, it is very difficult for us to have a coalition with right-wing parties as the Alternative for Deutschland, the AfD. And because of that means that at the end, either a conservative is going with some left or green parties, or at least with one left or one social democratic party. And that always leads, of course, to the fact that there are no changes. And this is the real problem that we Germans have. And last one, we yet haven't accepted that we are in a leadership role, a modern leadership role, of course, within Germany, within Europe.
Let me ask you about AfD, and you just alluded to it here, but over the weekend, J.D. Vance met with the co-leader of AfD, Alice Weidel, on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. AfD was not invited to participate, and he didn't sit down with Olaf Scholz, the current chancellor of Germany. Even if we don't see AfD taking a role in a coalition government, which is the base case scenario, they will not enter the coalition. That's the expectation. How does the center work with the fringes? Their support for the AfD is not going to go away just because they don't enter government.
See, here is the classic problem that we do have in Germany. With all the dark years we had, 33 to 45, we thought with fighting all that, with considering what our history is, we thought, right-wing parties getting closer to Nazis will never, ever come up. Might be a problem for other European countries, but definitely not for Germany. So that's not true because Germans at the end are Europeans, have their same ideas, have their same what I would call shortcut solutions for, migration and problems, no migration, no problems. So we have to accept that. But here is the problem. The last 10, 15 years, whenever AFD was getting a little bit stronger, we said, oh, we have to push them away. We don't talk to them. We don't put them on podiums. We don't show that their argumentation is not working. It was like, we even have that in parliament from some parties, speakers starting with, dear colleagues, from the democratic parliamentary groups. And that, of course, is no answer when you then want to say, I don't want to go into discussion with the AFD. This is the big problem. This didn't work in any European country. If there are a lot of people, for whatever reason, vote for a party like the AFD, you have to get into discussions and not tell them you're stupid for voting that way, even if you think that is right.